Okay, maybe we can start to gather around and get the show on the road. And start moving this direction if you could, please. So we have a few announcements to make first. We have a silent auction going on back there that a lot of you already participated in, and thank you for that. There'll be a live auction. There'll be a live auction following the ceremonies here. There's merchandise downstairs. 100% of the proceeds goes to Joe's campaign. So if you feel like buying a shirt or anything like that, you can do that. There's other things down there as well. And again, 100% of it goes to Joe. And we're going to be having the live auction. We have 4 tickets that we're going to do along with a suite for the Rainiers game in Tacoma. And then we also have this great picture of Joe with Donald J. Trump. That, yeah, beautiful picture, right? Anyway, so I think that's it for the announcements. I have a piece of paper here, so I don't want to forget. I forget things. Anyway, so we're going to start off with the first speaker here today, and he's a guy that has a great Coming to America story. If you get a chance to talk with him, if you haven't yet, he will tell you stories all day long, and he's a wonderful person to listen to.
No,
glorious.
that was perfect.
That's the word glorious. And I heard that on a show the other day on Don Jr.'s Trigger. Anyway, he's the former chief editor of Breitbart and Human Events, currently National Pulse, right? National Pulse? Yeah. Anyway, without further ado, he goes around and he spreads freedom and truth and liberty, and he does it with passion, he does it with power. He's a strong conservative, he's definitely far right of center, and that's what we like. Anyway, Raheem Kassam. We forgot to say the Pledge of Allegiance, right? My goodness, I got a little ahead of myself. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's always a very strange one, that one for me, because I am still a British citizen. So I will talk forever, because I love the sound of my own voice more than you do. And Joe, where's Joe? Joe will have to wrestle me for the mic, but that's part of the unadvertised entertainment for the night. Thank you for having me. I remember I was in Colorado for the Christian Conservative University Summit there one year, and the same thing happened. Pledge of Allegiance was said, and this lady, I guess they call them a carrot, right? This lady was like coming up to me, staring at me during the Pledge of Allegiance, like this. And then at the end of it, she goes, "Yeah, you said the Pledge of Allegiance." I said, "No, I'm subject to Her Majesty the Queen. Like, I cannot say the Pledge of Allegiance." Once your government wants to give me an immigration status, then we'll do it all. We'll do it right. We'll do it proper. But I'm a huge fan of it. I wish we had something like that in the United Kingdom now. Unfortunately, and just like I think over here is happening now as well, is that the Pledge of Allegiance is being set to a different kind of flag in our countries. And, I suppose in a nutshell, something like that is emblematic of why I'm here today. I hope Joe and the team don't mind me saying this, but I don't take speaking fees or anything like that to come out and speak for candidates like Joe, because I want money to go into the campaign on the ground to make sure that we actually get this guy over the line, because I did insist on a bottle of gin being here for me, but that was it. But if you lose because of a bottle of gin, that's a whole different question. You can blame me for that one. But when I believe in something like this, something like I did in the United Kingdom not so long ago, or it seems like a while ago now, called Brexit. I'm sure a lot of you remember that. When we put our shoulder to the wheel and I'll get into this subject as well, on things like Donald Trump, and especially now when he's being assailed by the forces of Republican Inc. masquerading. They're wearing the skin suit of MAGA, right? And pretending that other people can represent those issues as well as Donald Trump can. I did this podcast with Trump Jr. a couple of days ago, and I said to him, obviously, we have questions to level at Donald Trump. Yeah, obviously, some of the hires were bad. Obviously, some of the endorsements were bad. Obviously, going through COVID and the vaccine stuff, yes, there are questions to answer, but my goodness, can you imagine sending somebody new into DC to get up to speed with that learning curve again, to figure out where the problems are again, and then you face the same onslaught again 4 years later? Or how about revenge? Revenge. The thing that we never do because we're too nice. And believe you me, I've met Donald Trump a number of times. He's actually kind of too nice. I wish he was the Donald Trump of The Apprentice every single day and every single minute. But he's actually a really damn nice guy. And I think this time, it's no more Mr. Nice Guy. Like, he has identified the enemy within, and he knows laser-like where to aim that fire. And I think, unfortunately, it was 2015, and I was guest hosting the Breitbart News morning show on Sirius XM. Did anybody ever listen to that on Sirius XM? This was like 2014-15, and that was where Steve Bannon cut his teeth on national radio. And I think we've got some Steve Bannon fans in the room, right? For a second, I was like, damn, I've come to Washington and the room is silent, so just throw Bannon out there, everybody goes nuts. And the producer says to me, I've booked a couple of guests for you. I was like, thank you, I don't have to do that work, great. I said, who's the guest? Who's up first? It's Congressman DeSantis. Congressman DeSantis, never heard of him. So I look him up and I go on his Wikipedia page and I'm scrolling. Their picture looks like an upstanding guy and nice family and seems to be standing for the right issues. And so when he comes on the line, I say to him, I've just been looking at your history. You look like you could run for president someday. So I might have given him the idea of it. But I don't have many problems with the pre-establishment DeSantis. In the last few months, the things I'm seeing, it's all the red flags are going up and all the warning signs are going up, and I look at the Trump stuff, and yes, I know so many people are paid to talk about these things. Again, I am not. I do it as a labor of love and a labor of passion. I just look at it and I go, you cannot turn away the possibility of sending this man back to DC and letting him rain merry hell down on all of those people. That is not just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That is a once-in-several-generation opportunity to have this man take those reins of power again. I mean, it will be the American carnage that the left thought we were going to have, or we'll give it to them this time, okay? That's what I want to see. So I can talk all day long, and I very much will. I have so much to say. I have so many stories. You can shout out keywords. You ever seen those comedians who say, shout out 3 different keywords and I'll make up a joke of them, or in person. You could shout out 3 different keywords and I would actually have a real story to tell based on any random thing. I've been around for a long time, considering I'm 36 years old, right? I've seen all of the Brexit stuff, all of the Breitbart stuff, all of the Trump stuff. I mean, people don't realize Steve Bannon was a cruise guy, and we were in a car together one day, and I was like telling him, it's Trump, it's got to be Trump. He was the head of the company at the time of Breitbart, so I was like junior, suddenly next to this guy who's the head of the company, and so I took my opportunity. I was like, dude, it's Trump, it's got to be Trump, good Trump. He goes, listen, we're going to talk about it, it's fine, you don't need to worry about it. And he goes into a meeting, comes back out, and he goes, you know what? I think you might get your Trump thing after all. I said, oh yeah, why is that? He goes, well, I just had Rebecca Mercer on the phone, you know, the big donor to Cruise World, and he goes, she's not convinced that Ted Cruz is actually legally eligible to run for president of the United States. Canadians, huh? But I've got so many stories. I'm very happy to share them all with you. But before I get into rambling about my nostalgic moments in you know, the Brexit and MAGA movements, I do want to talk to you about this place and this candidate and why, you know, there are not a lot of people that I'll go and stunt for in Dallas and you know, out here and in where did we go? Oh yeah, the Army Navy Country Club in DC. I mean, frankly, Joe, there's nobody else I'd go to the Army Navy Country Club in Virginia for, because it's typically a stuffy old Republican place who don't like my language and they don't appreciate the aggressive modes of window shifting that I'm interested in, right? They're very campaigny out there sometimes, but we put a good room of good people together, and when Matt called me up and asked me to come out here, Joe, for you, I said, you know, whatever, let's explain. I'll stay there 2 weeks if you need me to. I don't care. And there are defining characteristics of this race, right? And I look at all the money that was spent against Joe, right? That is a major hurdle, and that is, I hate to do this because it's gauche, right? We don't talk about money in England very often, but you must put your hands in your pockets, and you must do it to a level by which you may be even uncomfortable with, because it's an investment in the future we're talking about here. It's not a run-of-the-mill like Republican candidate who you go, oh well, it's better for them to win than for a Democrat to win. No, this is someone we need at like committee level, digging the detail, you want to have a firebrand representative for this constituency, this district. Like, do you even realize how proud people are to have Matt Gaetz as their representative? They love him, they bloody love him. And you need that represented here in this side of the world as well. And I just think that's one critical element of it, and you all know it, and I just want to like hammer that home for you guys, right? But the other parts of it, the other parts of this are strategic. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a huge fan of Kevin McCarthy. I look at, and actually I'm friends with his communications director, but I look at it and I go, you know, how can this person possibly, not just what he believes in, but like where he comes from, how can he possibly lead the MAGA right in Congress? It's incongruous, right? Like, that's what it is. That doesn't make any sense to have somebody like that in charge. And, you know, you look at how little I think, and again, Joe, forgive me if I'm overstepping and oversharing here a little bit, but you look at how little they helped and actually how in a large part they were the major hindrance of what goes on here. Well, let me ask you this question. What's better than sticking two fingers up at Kevin McCarthy and his ilk? Because I can't think of many things better than that. I mean, you know, and that, you know, in a lot of senses, that's what we continue to have to do. And we continue to have to go around the country and make sure that there are candidates that Kevin McCarthy feels uncomfortable with leading. Because, gosh, I mean, I would hate for a majority in Congress to be candidates that Kevin McCarthy felt comfortable with. That sounds terrible to me. We've done it for several hundred years, and we'll probably do it for several hundred more years. You must avoid a primary here where, you know, people think that they can, you know, go up against Joe. He's proven himself here as a real fighter, right? He really has. And so many people fight the one race, and maybe they lose for a multitude of reasons, by the way, and they go, you know, they shuffle off somewhere else, and they do something else, and I think it's a testament to the character of somebody that you can pick yourself right back up and hit the campaign trail like, what was it, 24 hours later? You know, the declaration. I can see what Joe's thinking back there, and he's thinking, yeah, you really cannot allow an open bar at events with Raheem. because I don't think I was as coherent in Dallas. It was a different kind of event. No, we have a real inflection point going on right now. I think you all know that. I think that's why you're here. You know, there's so many of you, the conversations that you're telling me that we had before I came up here. And it fills me with joy to hear that so many of you went to become precinct committeemen and counter-infiltrated, right? Counter-infiltrated against the people that are actively stealing your country away from you. You have to counter-infiltrate against them. The other thing we need to do is adopt a lot of the more, traditionally left-wing tactics. I'm pretty brash, I am, but I get away with it because of the accent. I'm like, I like my F-bombs, I like worse than my F-bombs, but the brashness doesn't stop at just language and linguistics and assertions on Twitter, and I call people, really ungodly things on Twitter. But it's also to do with, how you're leaning into every single different issue and how you're leaning in across the board. Right? Whether you're recruiting people to come with you to an event like this. For instance, I heard tonight that somebody called Teresa didn't come here, and Teresa was supposed to be here. And others too, and for good reasons I understand, but dragging people to sorts of events like this with you, sharing the articles that you read and that you believe in. I know it's these little extra steps, and we're all complacent about it sometimes, right? I go on, who likes Jack Posobiec here, by the way, right? Yeah, love Jack. But Jack tweets about 30 times a minute, and so I don't always hit that retweet button, and then I have to self-correct and go, no, wait a minute, we need as many people to see this as possible. It doesn't matter if I feel uncomfortable with retweeting him 30 times a minute. You have to do it. Unfortunately, we also have to do it with their electoral tactics. Things like ballot harvesting and all those things. We are fooling ourselves if we think they're going away. We can get them to go away once we have the super of super majorities, right? But we don't have that right now, and you go to war with the army you have. And so we're going to have to do it. And by the way, let's not kid ourselves. The right knows how to cheat elections too. I mean, we do. If they want to cheat, we'll cheat twice as good, okay? If you want to undermine the system, let's show you how much it can actually be undermined. Then we might end up in the same place. Oh, you don't like that either, huh? 2000 election, right? What are the two words that come into everybody's minds in 2000 elections? Hanging chairs. But it wasn't the hanging chairs. It was the way the machines counted the votes in certain Florida constituencies, certain Florida districts, that would spit the vote back at a right-wing voter and tell them to correct the vote, and it would eat up the left-wing voter's vote and just mark it, discount it, don't count it. And that was the right cheating, and it was pretty good. We were good at it. So my attitude towards that is, listen, if you want to see cheating, we'll show you cheating. Because institutionally, we actually have more amassed knowledge in that area because of the Bush Republicans, frankly, right? Then fine, you want to go down that route. If you want to, tarnish the electoral system entirely in America, then we're going to get there together, right? And you're going to lose on the way. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. Otherwise, you're going to end up like the United Kingdom, okay? You're going to end up with a nascent conservative party that pays lip service to conservative issues, and then on every single other issue sells the country outright away. Okay? So Brexit happens. The largest democratic plebiscite in the nation's history. 17.4 million people vote to get us out of the sclerotic, protectionist EU. Right? The EU that's importing just hundreds of thousands of fighting-age Muslim men into Europe, and they're doing things, unspeakable things. I don't know if some of you remember the New Year's Eve incident in Cologne, in Germany, just the unspeakable things, and we march ourselves to everyone's chagrin, the media's chagrin, the political establishment's chagrin, Hillary Clinton's chagrin, which is my favorite one. How? Well, because she knew. She knew the second that Brexit passed, she got, oh, we got a real problem on our hands. Because this contagion might hit America, and it did, right? There was a reason that Nigel Farage and myself were the first two non-campaign staff to go and see Donald Trump in his Midtown Penthouse after the 2016 election is the dovetailing, the perfect moment, dovetailing between those two issues. And he knew it, and we knew it. But then you end up with a Tory party, a Conservative party in the United Kingdom, who they inherited net 300,000 migration into the country. Now, it's America, so those seem like very small numbers, right? But for us, that's a small to medium city coming into the country every year. You can't deal with it. The healthcare system can't deal with it. The education system can't deal with it. But frankly, none of those questions even matter. The public doesn't want it, okay? You talk about democracy. Democracy lies in darkness. We must protect our democracy. Yeah, until the people start speaking up against the corporate narratives, right? Then democracy doesn't matter so much. But now we have net migration of 600,000 every year. It's doubled. It's doubled. And it had tripled between 2010 and 2015 already. It was 100,000 in 2010. It was 300,000 by 2015. It's now 600,000. So what is the Conservative Party for? You might as well just elect the Labour Party. Just let them in, have a ruinous rush to end the entire thing and then start from scratch. Now, listen, I'm not necessarily, an accelerationist philosophically like that, but I'm just saying, if we're going that way, we're going that way on our terms. And we're going to change, we're going to shift the Overton window ourselves, and then they're suddenly going to beg, they're going to beg to change things back to the way they were. They always come back, don't they? Their recidivism rate is through the roof. They always realise that we were right, but way too late, way too late. And I have an issue that I want to take up with people, and you're a great one to do it. I love when somebody from the left comes over to the right, but I've been on the right, as long as I could, formulate a sentence. I was, I was a very right-wing child, and I can't stand when we hand the reins over to our new converts. Like, by all means, let's have people come over, but then we give them the run of the place, and we allow them to dictate the terms of the conversation to us. And it's like, yes, okay, fine, like Tulsi Gabbard has some good ideas, but like, you can't let them run the show. We still have to have, I'm sorry to say it, but like philosophical purity about what's going on here. We absolutely have to have the true believers in charge. Otherwise, you're just at the behest of people who already defected against their own side. Well, guess what they're going to do to you when it gets slightly uncomfortable? Sell you out as well. I will never sell you out, and Joe will never sell you out. I'm going to do things to be true. I think you probably want to hear from the man himself now. So I will, unhappily hand back over. Do you want to do an introduction? We'll do an introduction. But then, I don't know what the plan is. I hope to be able to take some questions. I hope to converse with you guys individually. I got so many stories. I could be here all night, and it's just a gin and tonic. That's all it is. Seriously, the world is going in a very strange place. We need calm heads, but ones who know how to turn the temperature up when it needs to be turned up. And ladies and gentlemen, I really do think that one of those people is Joe Kent. So, thank you.
Make sure you do get a chance to have a moment to speak with him. He's more than willing to share his time and his stories, and he's fun to listen to, right? I mean, he's got that accent going on and stuff.